just leaving work right now and on my way to go get my HSG. Basically just going to be an x-ray of my uterus. They're going to insert a catheter, put a bunch of dye in there, see if I have any polyps or blockages in my tubes. Not very excited. When I had birth control inserted several years ago, it was really painful. So I'm not looking forward to how this is going to feel. I already popped 2 Aleve. I might take 2 more in about 20 minutes here. So we'll see. We'll go there. I'm not sure if I'll film anything from that appointment. I don't know how comfortable I'll be with that, but I'll probably update afterwards with how that went. And we got quite a bit of our test results back, so I'll probably go over that then too. So some of it's good news, some of it's not really bad news, which is kind of another thing to be like, oh, something else to worry about. But we'll see. Wish me luck. What do you see? Hello.
I can't see that, it's all blurry.
Okay, so update. It is a couple days after I've had my HSG done. I know I'm wearing the exact same shirt, but I have a limited colors I can wear to work, so you may see the same shirt a couple of times in some of these videos. But yeah, my HSG experience. I wanted to post it right away after I had it done, but I think I just kind of needed a break from everything. We have had some good, not bad news, but another bump in the road, I guess you should say. So I went in and I had my HSG done. And if you don't know what HSG is, my experience with it wasn't horrible. I will say for sure my IUD experience was much worse. My HSG wasn't too bad. So at my clinic, I went in with it being an x-ray. I was pretty afraid that they wouldn't let me have my husband with me, but they were a-okay with George being with me. They just gave him a lead vest. He was able to stand next to me and hold my hand the whole time. For me, they of course inserted the speculum. They would get that brown cleansing medication that usually you see like when they cover a certain spot they're about to cut open for surgery. I believe it's the same one that they used on my cervix. They cleaned that with that a couple of times. That was uncomfortable. I did also get either 3 to 4 shots of like numbing medication into my cervix. The first shot hurt. It was more like a bee sting, like it stung, but it wasn't unbearable. Nothing that a good hand squeeze didn't help get me through. The other, I say 3 to 4 because I don't know if I felt a 4th one or not, but I think the 2 to 3, I felt those. I'm not sure if I felt a 4th, but I got those in. They numbed that pretty much right away, and then they stuck the catheter in and blew up a balloon and then inserted the dye. They put in the dye and they started forcing it through my tubes, and that hurt like a mother. Putting the catheter in and forcing in the dye hurt pretty bad. I wasn't crying, like I wasn't at the point of crying, but like very intense period cramps. Very intense. I was squeezing my husband's hand so hard. And the bad thing with that happened was that the x-ray machine wasn't working. So I'm sitting here, the doctor's forcing dye through my hands, the x-ray machine isn't taking pictures, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is of course. But they got it to work really quickly. He stopped pushing the dye until they could figure out the x-ray situation, and that was kind of figured out within like a minute or so it wasn't too bad. They took a bunch of pictures, and it was uncomfortable. I did take like 800 milligrams of Advil before the procedure, which you probably saw with one of the first clips, which I highly advise. Take Advil before your procedure if you can. If you don't do good with the Advil, definitely ask the nurses if there's something you can take beforehand, because Advil, I'm pretty sure, made it at least more bearable for me. But basically results, my tubes are not blocked, so good news. The only thing is that they believe I have a polyp, and it looks like it's kind of in front of my right tube. So I'm going to have to go do another HSG. So not the same one. The next one I have to do is the ultrasound one, just because the polyp is in my uterus, and the x-ray and dye HSG is really only good for seeing the flow of the dye go through your tubes, and if it spills out or you see it go through your like tubes, you know your tubes aren't blocked. But it doesn't give you a clear image of your uterus. So in order for me to find out if I truly have a polyp, I need to get the ultrasound with the saline done so I can get a clear picture of my uterus rather than my tubes. Sorry, this is my cat. This is Tiberius, by the way. He is my baby. He was in our wedding. But maybe I'll introduce my animals another day. But yeah, so good news is my tubes aren't blocked, but news is I have to go do this again and see if I have a polyp, and if they do confirm it to be a polyp or even something else, they said I'm more than likely going to need surgery to get it removed, which, you know, it's just another thing that we have to do, and I'm glad we're getting answers and finding things out, but I'm tired. Also, our test results updates. We haven't done the genetic disease test yet, but blood work and everything. The only thing that came out odd for me of all my repeats were my vitamin D. I have a vitamin D deficiency, and I'm not sure if I brought that up in another video. And of course, I am seeing not a reproductive endocrinologist, but a regular endocrinologist in the beginning of October, just to confirm that I have PCOS and possibly not something else. And again, they're pretty sure I have PCOS. I think it's just one of my other hormones is slightly elevated, so they want to kind of cancel out the other possibilities. So we're for sure knowing it's PCOS. We did get my husband's repeat semen analysis results back. You may have seen my husband in the previous clips. He knows I'm recording now and doing videos. I just haven't asked him to sit and talk with me about this yet. I don't know if he's comfortable talking like in front of the camera or if he'll feel awkward, because I still feel awkward doing this. So, but maybe eventually I'll get him in here. But he did repeat his semen analysis about 2 weeks ago, and I know before his results were abnormal, and I never really shared the reasoning, and with his first test, his morphology was kind of off, but sperm count, motility, those were all good, and my biggest concern was count, if it was going to be too little or none, and I feel like everything else we can eventually fix over time, but count was something I was really concerned about. But since his count was great the first time, I wasn't too concerned. But he did have something off with his semen, and with his first test, his semen was too thick. Like, it was I don't want to go into too many details, but it was thick. It was thicker than what it needed to be, and semen's supposed to be watery, and it wasn't. And so when we talked to the reproductive endocrinologist about possibly IUI, they said that sperm surviving the wash out of semen that thick is usually little to none or very little. So possible conception with IUI with that was very slim, and they were kind of leaning more on IVF at the time. But he did his repeat, and I had him on male fertility vitamins, just more so for the morphology. I don't know if this helped with the semen. I don't think so, but for whatever reason, his test the second time around came back completely normal. And that, I think, was a big relief for him. I think he was really starting to feel bad. That he was also playing a factor in this, but the fact that his second test came back completely normal is crazy to me. I think we're still going to keep an eye on some things, but yeah, so that's pretty much it for now. Everything is pretty much good. I do have to do that repeat HSG. I do have to do updated blood work for my vitamin D deficiency. I'm on that for about 4 weeks, and then we're going to do repeat blood work to see if it went up. Because apparently that has a big effect in either possibly conceiving, but it's also a factor in miscarriages as well. And if you have PCOS, you already know you're at a high risk of miscarriage. So you just gotta love it. So, but that's pretty much it. I'm gonna start putting like my Instagram handle in the description. I'm not really here to gain a lot of followers, but sharing this kind of information, it's just comfortable for me, and I don't know, it's an outlet for me really during all of this. And I found comfort with infertility and familiarizing myself with it right away. And I did that through Mac Dingle, and she's currently pregnant, but I watched her for like a year she was going through infertility for 3 years, but I watched her for about a year until she got pregnant. And she familiarized me, even though her situation was different, so much with familiarizing yourself with these tests and what to expect, and if you go through IVF, and that you're not alone. And I like to make it a small community, and again, I'm not looking for a big following. This is just my outlet, and if you want to follow along on our journey, feel free to do so. And hopefully next update is kind of after any additional blood work and any other thing else I have going on. We did take a trip to Port Washington. You may have seen that. Me and my husband have been together for 5 years. Not married, but since we've been dating, it was 5 years as of September 9th. And we just kind of did a little day trip for ourselves to one of our favorite spots. And I may have a video of us going on vacation for our wedding anniversary, which is just a week or so away. So I might do a video for that. But I hope you guys are doing good, and then follow if you'd like. And maybe we can support each other as we go through this journey.